Okay, I'll be right back.
Okay.
We're all the way here.
Hello, Joseph. Thanks for being here.
Indeed. You're
Yeah.
calling us forward, and
Yep.
so it continues.
Well, it's been a good week in that I have felt some wonderful connections and resonance with the idea of my authentic self, sort of allowing that in a way, and understanding that I've created some limitations for myself, but really because they're showing me that through those limitations, through the experience of those limitations, I can realize more freedom, more joy, more authentically me. So, for example, in viewing circumstances that might be challenging, my mother's boyfriend passed away last night, and I've been debating on whether I tell her because I'm only looking through a window at her. I'm not able to be with her at the nursing home. I felt like, I would allow the guidance and the love of spirit to just sort of, you know, work in this instance and kind of just step back. And I found out today that on Friday they're going to take her to a doctor. She has a doctor's appointment. They'll take her out of the nursing home, and I'll be able to actually be with her in person. And I thought, oh, well, that'll work, that just popped up today. I had no idea about that. So, little things like that are kind of this, I want to say, um, natural state of being that feels more aligned with like a higher vibration of myself. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Indeed. You're paving the way for yourself.
Yes, paving the way for myself. Yes, that's a good way to describe it. Um, and also because there's sort of a trust and a knowing from that vantage point that there is more um, there's more joy. It's sort of like I'm not going to limit myself with fears about how this is going to work out, right? I'm gonna um, I'm gonna allow this sort of beautiful interaction with the universe to guide me, um, as it were. And so there's a sense of freedom, and then I've kind of like I'll find myself looking at a situation, other situations in the same way, and saying, well, you know, do I want to see limitation here, or do I want to see love, or do I want to see limitation here, or why do I see limitation here? I'm asking myself, why have I created this limitation in a way? And I think that I start to understand that it's not about getting the answer to that exact situation. Like if I wanted more money, it's not about so much getting more money as it is about this sense of feeling like I'm creating more, rather than less or lack. It's hard to describe.
It is that feeling of freedom. And the word ultimately doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter how you're describing it or not describing it. What does matter is just the feeling of being able to think in all of these different directions, because that's the feeling of abundance. When you're looking at money, we're looking at the freedom, the ability to choose. Yes?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so you have that available to you now, if only in thought. Well,
Yeah.
that's enough.
Yeah. That's what I'm kind of realizing. I mean,
And
I know you've been saying that, but yes, go ahead.
and it's the feeling of being able to choose the thought, choose your response, choose how you're seeing everything. And that's a state of being. That's a state of being that allows everything to come in. And so we encourage you to sort of access that state in any way that you can. But once you're there, the feeling is what's driving it forward. The feeling is your indicator. And you'll find all sorts of different words to describe it. You'll find all of these different ways to interpret it, to experience it, to focus it.
Mm-hmm.
But give yourself the appreciation, the enjoyment
Mm-hmm.
of your ability to focus in any way that you choose. And when you accept that fully and feel it, that's what we mean by accepting it, is really feeling it, and
Mm-hmm.
let yourself feel it and let yourself feel it more and more and more and more, then that will be your experience. And it will be less and less about a specific outcome
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
more about the process.
Yeah, so it's more the outcome isn't the result of me focusing on what that should be. It's more me allowing energetically the feeling that surrounds that idea or that is that idea to come into focus, I think.
And then you can get as specific as you want. Then you can get as pointed as you want. Then you can focus upon all of the different specific outcomes that you want.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
if you're visualizing to escape the feeling that you have going on, then again, you shoot yourself in the foot, as we were speaking of not too long ago,
Mm-hmm.
building that bridge
Mm-hmm.
from an affirmation, or rather to an affirmation from where you are.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's getting into the feeling, getting into that relaxed, receptive state. And then when you're there in that free flowing, free-wheeling, empowered energy, then we
Mm-hmm.
want you to think, and we want you to think a lot. We want you to be engaged in your world. We want you to be engaged in your mind,
Mm. Okay.
maintaining that feeling as the foundation. But when you have made it your priority to connect to that energy, to feel that freedom, to feel that ability to choose your thought,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and there is a specific outcome that you desire, then we want you to think a whole lot about it
Mm-hmm.
until you start to feel some friction coming in. And that's when we want you to back off a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right.
Hmm.
So you talk a lot about, kind of relaxing and allowing and and then things follow, that from there, like the next step you talk about. Um, and sometimes that next step I've noticed is just more of a deeper desire for um, I want to say for peace or for love or for
Hmm.
just, joy. It's not necessarily like go do this and go do that. Sometimes it's just more, like intensity in the feeling.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the more you give into that, the more inspiration will come to you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So
Yeah.
that's the process. You get into that state of energy, the new ideas start to come. You focus upon them, you give them strength, you give them added momentum, and they get stronger and stronger and more quick and more attractive and more powerful. And you're
Hmm.
in the process of quickly attracting and, as it's spoken, manifesting new experiences.
Hmm.
And then you get to a point where you don't believe it, or you hit your sort of threshold of belief, or you hit your outer limits. And
Hmm.
that's when you start to feel a little bit of friction, a little bit of tension, a little bit of resistance. And that's when you do what you can to step back into that energy, to
Hmm.
prioritize that, and then to go forward with whatever new idea. Because many times you'll have the new idea come in, you'll be following it, you'll be embracing it, and then you'll reach that sort of threshold. You start to feel
Hmm.
some tension, you start to feel some doubt or some
Hmm.
disbelief.
Hmm.
And that's when maybe the idea has shifted and changed. So, for instance, if it's a specific thing you see yourself wanting to do, you focus there, you focus there, you focus there, and things start moving and new ideas start coming and you're really in motion. But then you feel like you've hit a wall. You feel as if you can't go any further. Well, you release your attachment to this moment. You get back into that connection with the inner energy,
Mhm.
and maybe you have a new idea. Maybe that idea that was so
Mhm.
interesting
Mhm.
to you has shifted and changed a little bit. And then if you made the priority all about the outcome, if you made the priority all about the specific physical look, feel, and everything,
Mhm.
you see how that's where some tension can come in. Your
Yeah.
idea has evolved, but have you evolved with it?
Mhm. Well, that's a good question because my approach has been to sort of, I want to say, feel my way into um, feel my way
Mhm.
into the energy in a sense, even if I have I have a focus, a specific, you know, desire to go back to my beach house, right? And I I had this loving, wonderful, joyful feeling, that arises as I focus on that and put little pieces together and, feel the sunset and smell the ocean and all of that, and it's almost as though it unravels. I don't know how to describe it, but it's sort of like the energy kind of just unravels into the next thing, into the next thought, into the next thought. And then I'll perhaps feel like I'll, as you said, hit a wall in the sense that I'll say, well, this is just a dream. I'll hear that voice come up. And
So
then,
you stop right there. That's just when you stop. That's when you've reached your outer limit and you let it go. You've done all the work you can on that subject and you let it go
yeah, yeah,
for now.
yeah,
And that's when you just, in other words, if you do it once a day, you're doing tremendous amounts of work. If you want to call it work, you're making tremendous amounts of forward motion
right,
in that direction. So
right.
you do it as long as you can do it. And when you hit that wall,
Yeah,
then you go and do something else.
yeah,
And then the next day, you get into meditation, you find that freedom, you find that energy.
yep, yep.
And then you take 10 minutes, you take 15 minutes, you take 20 minutes. 20 minutes is quite a lot. But you take some time and you just focus into that beach house.
Hmm.
And you stay there and you live there and you breathe the air and you move the furniture and you
Hmm.
appreciate the feel of the wood and the smell of
Hmm.
the air
Hmm.
and you feel the breeze on your face and you're there
Hmm.
until you hit that threshold again and then you stop.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
And how long do you find yourself being able to hold yourself in the beach house before the resistance comes up?
Oh, it's usually about 5 to 10 minutes.
It's plenty. It's more than enough, yes?
Yeah. I mean, it's enjoyable. It's very, very enjoyable. And I'm doing it for the joy of it because, you know, and not because I expect this, beach house to plop into my life, but because I enjoy that as even if it's a, kind of um, it's not an escape. It actually feels good to me. It feels like a reality that I enjoy. So that's kind of why it feels almost like a parallel reality in a way that I enjoy. And that's why I do it.
It
It's
is. And it becomes less parallel and less parallel and less parallel and more of that harmony and that oneness the more you practice it.
yeah. And I guess that the stumbling block recently on that has been, well, I don't know how this is going to happen. And so that I do stop when that comes up. I do. It's kind of like walk away, I put it down with love and tenderness and care and gratitude, and then I just kind of move away.
Well, we
But
want to soothe that a little bit by saying that you do know how it's going to come about.
oh, you're
And
right.
it's by that practice that you're doing, and that's all that you need to know.
Joseph, you're so right. Geez, how could I have missed that, forgotten that? Yes. That's why yes, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Indeed. So
Softening
then
that.
that's when you congratulate yourself. You say, I'm doing the work.
Yay, I'm doing the work. Yeah. Yeah. And even like now with going to the grocery store or driving to the
Mm.
you know, mostly I'm going to the grocery store. Um or to Home Depot. Those seem to be the places I go to. But even with that, like there's a sense of anticipation of joy in those experiences, not doom or resentment or like some people are like that, but I'm not. I'm feeling like, oh, I'm going to make the best of this. This is going to be, God inspired, God filled, God loved, God enthused, and it's amazing then how just that idea, that energy becomes more and more and more of how I look at things. It's fabulous, really. Um, so yeah, so thank you.
Indeed. So when you're enjoying the beach house,
Yes.
you're not just attracting the beach house, you're on the frequency of everything that matches that. So you get to extract the best from everything.
Oh yeah, that's right, because energetically it's it's me, it's what I'm emitting or attracting. Yeah, I hear you. So it's kind of amping up my level of joy in everything. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I hear you. I hear you. One thing, Joseph, that you really helped me with that, I thought for a while that there had to be like only one right way of seeing things. And I wanted to know what the right way was. What's the right way? What's the way that's going to let me, like really get to the truth of everything? And now I recognize that, you know, it's all in me. And the right way is the relative way, whatever is right in the moment, whatever comes through in the moment. That was a big step for me. So thank you for coaching me in that direction.
Very much. And when you cross that path, when you cross that bridge into that state of being, you're bringing to yourself your right way. You're assembling it, you're creating it, you're attracting the thought by thought, all the beliefs, all of the ideas, all of the experiences around you, creating that stable foundation that then matures as your life experience. And it also allows you to build bridges to others as well
Mm,
and to help provide a path.
mm, mm. Yeah, I I've wanted to. I still have. I haven't put as much energy into. I have to say, into my business, my coaching business, counseling business. Although I've had like 3 clients in the past couple weeks, which is awesome. One just kind of came out of the blue. I thought she was somebody else, turned out to be somebody I didn't know. But yeah, I know it didn't come out of the blue, by the way. Just an expression. Um, so yeah, and it feels so good when I'm doing that, when I'm, so I figured, you know what, I'm just going to enjoy working with these people, just going to enjoy our time together, the feeling that flows through me, the energy that I have, that comes, and just kind of let that go and let that be, for now. And but yet there's still this sort of not it's this kind of calling or something in me to do more of that.
It's a
So
desire.
yeah, desire, that's what it is. Yeah, it is desire to do more of that. Yep, desire. So I was
You don't need to
wondering.
qualify it. You don't have to put any conditions onto it. It's something that you want to do. It's
Yeah,
something
yeah,
that you
yeah.
enjoy doing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is. It's something I enjoy doing.
And that's enough. That's more than enough.
That's more than enough. It's more than enough, right? I don't have to like be a certain way. You know, that desire then, I think I was with the business, I was kind of, thinking, yes, there are strategies and there are ways to build that business, but I can also take this approach of, you know, being inspired to take those strategies and walk those paths that may come through while I'm also in that feeling of joy about that work. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
transferring the same kind of approach I have with the house to the counseling business. Imagining, not kind of
So you put
feeling.
yourself in the house and you're sitting in the house and you're talking on the phone or however you prefer and you're having that counseling session, you're having that moment.
Oh yeah.
You can have your cake and eat it too. You can have the beach house and do the work that you love inside the beach house.
Oh, I love it. That's right.
And
That's
so
right.
you see how all of these different components, they add more energy, they add more momentum, they add more emphasis, and you bring it all together. And that increases the emotion, yes,
Yeah, it
which
did.
lets you know that you're adding more energy, which means it's happening even faster.
Oh, that's awesome, Joseph. That's so awesome. I love it.
Indeed. We
Yeah.
have not spoken of it yet. This is you're breaking through here. This is new territory.
New territory. It is new territory. And it's I love that we're creating this kind of together. I know it's me asking and calling it forward, but I love the fact that there's this wonderful exchange happening about this. But yes, that feels perfectly right. That feels perfectly wonderful to be sitting in that house. I can even imagine, in the winter time when the wind is blowing and the waves are a little bit rough and I'm sitting there and I'm working with a client and um, just like immersed in this beautiful like spot of nature and feeling all that energy as well as all the you know inner energy kind of mixing together and working with somebody like that feels so cool. That feels so um, happy. It
Indeed.
feels really yeah, like what I would enjoy, what I love. I mean, a cup of tea, look talking maybe through the computer on the phone or whatever, but really just yeah, being present in that space. It's really cool. Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Indeed. So you have yourself,
Mhm.
that energy. It feels wonderful. Just being in connection, being in that clarity, being in resonance with that inner energy.
Mhm.
Then you have all of the other desires that you're adding to it, and they all add one to the other, compounding
Oh,
exponentially, expanding.
yeah. Oh, that's so cool to know. Like, I've also thought of that
Mhm.
house, like, to have my grandchildren there and to have my family there and family meals and walks on the beach with friends
And
and
so you didn't think of those things on accident. Yes,
I
those
did.
thoughts are drawn to you because of the work that you've been doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It gets more specific, it gets more detailed, it gets more refined
Oh, yeah.
within the inner mind, which means it's coming faster, which means the emotion is increased, which
Mhm.
means you're adding specific detail to your manifestation as well.
Mm. So much fun. This is really fun. Yeah, I definitely want to do more of this. And just that kind of um, beautiful connection with my inner being, and not only my inner being but maybe even my like is my inner being God as well? I mean, I know we're all God, like we're all part of the source energy, but is there like a differentiation between my inner being and like the source energy? Do they work together? What is that structure?
So it's a collective. If you
Okay, what
think
is
of your inner being
that?
as a sort of glowing ball of light,
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
light is the energy of source.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
as that light radiates from that inner being,
Yeah.
it draws to itself all of that which is like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is source.
Oh, that is like it. And that is source. And so everything though, like what when we attract perhaps unwanted things, we think they're unwanted, or fearful things, and we, cut ourselves off out of fear. Is that also source attracting?
Hmm.
Maybe source is the attracting principle.
So, in the sense that it is something that is being resolved within yourself because of
Uh-huh.
your intention to connect with that inner energy.
That's right.
So, your physical self is a mixture of all these different energies, all these different thoughts, all of these different beliefs, all of these different opinions, all of these different perspectives. And that inner source, that inner being, is expressing into that rich tapestry that is what you call yourself in this body.
Right.
And when that physical self, when you have that intention to connect with that energy, to have it flow more clearly through you,
Mm-hmm.
then everything, and you intend for it to flow fully,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
then every aspect of yourself, every aspect of that rich tapestry of belief
Mm-hmm.
that is not in harmony with that energy
Mm-hmm.
is then drawn to the surface because
Right.
that is your intent to be shifted.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Totally.
Now, there are all
To-
sorts of thoughts and beliefs and ideas in your physical environment that don't mesh with that process. Some of them you've held on to, some of them you have not. And
yep.
so you feel your way through this particular sea of thought that you call physical reality,
Mm-hmm.
and you use it to create. You use it as the basis of creation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Even the limiting beliefs and the unwanted stuff is all part of that. I hear you
Yes.
now. I hear you now.
And from that perspective of source, in other words, Joseph, that's what is being called Joseph is just that, is the collection of all of these energies. There are many, many of us here.
Mm-hmm.
And as you awaken to your part within all of that,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
sometimes those limiting beliefs can act as training wheels.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They keep you grounded. They give you something to talk about. You turn on TV and you identify with people,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and you can let that which does not resonate go at your own pace.
Yeah, yeah. Like a springboard. Yeah. A bridge, you call it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I hear you. I hear you. And I think that this is a very important, for me, truth that now allows me to see things differently. And rather as feeling defeated, for instance, by um, my mother's illness or my husband's illness, rather than seeing that as a defeat, which I was for a while. I think I can see that as really, and I have kind of been working in this direction as an opportunity to move me past what I thought, what I might have, um, my beliefs that were in the way of me experiencing this now in its totality of, kind of beauty and truth and love that it is that's there. So, um, yeah, it doesn't become a cage. It becomes like, you know, the bird that's kind of, flown the cage, the freedom. It gives me that sense of freedom, that feeling of freedom. So thank you.
Indeed.
Yeah. When people though are like for me, I'm pretty much conscious of the fact that I am, desirous of the, fullness of who I am, experiencing that source energy and the fullness of me. And um, but for those who may not be, they're still their soul is still, conscious of what's happening and guiding and loving them. I mean that, and of course, and the sometimes I think with our human perspective, we label things as bad and we say, oh, that's painful, that hurts, that's uncomfortable, that's, and it could be, I mean, that could be a feeling that comes up, but is it really just a perspective of what's happening? It's maybe just a narrow perspective of what's happening,
Well, wow, feel it out. What does it feel like when you entertain those thoughts?
right?
What's the
Well, that
resonance?
sometimes they feel consuming. I mean, they sometimes they do feel like pretty big feelings. And like if someone's in pain, like my mother's legs are swollen and she's really uncomfortable, and I'm like, well, what can I do to help her? Although and I do what I can, and then that's it, and I have to kind of step back and say, well, that's her. This is something she's created as well, and so I'm trying to kind of maybe draw a line there. Um, and when I do, it allows me to see her more with, this is the end of her life, and this is her, this is the way she's choosing to go through it, and I have compassion for her. Um, but it still doesn't feel like it's totally resolved. It still feels like, you know, um, I'm not getting getting at the truth. Maybe that's what it feels like.
Talk about that feeling a little bit more here.
Like the truth would be that she's okay.
Hmm.
The truth would be that um, she's everything's just fine the way it is. The truth would be that she is this beautiful being having this incredibly beautiful experience where she has learned so much and gained so much and given so much in this beautiful life. And this is just another kind of nuanced experience.
Now, those words sound very good, but do you feel them?
Well,
Do you feel
no,
the resonance?
no, I mean, I believe them, but I don't feel them.
Well, then there's a little bit of a discrepancy there, yes? There's not energy flowing clearly.
Right, right,
So
right.
let's take what we've discussed in regarding the beach house
Yeah.
and apply it to this because
Oh,
it's the same process.
good idea. Yeah.
You have an image of a solution, you have an image of a sort of outcome and how you want communication, how you want resolution to go forward, but then you're not feeling it and you're almost trying to convince yourself of something that you think should be true, or even you're telling yourself is true,
Yeah.
as if you can sort of convince yourself
Right.
into believing it.
Uh-huh. Hmm. And maybe the I'm kind of jumping a step here because um, if I sit back and I kind of allow myself to just feel that love for her rather than all these conditions that I'm trying to create, um, for her, then perhaps I would just move forward with more of a natural sense of peace about everything. Yeah.
Yes, but
Yeah.
so much of what you're describing here
Yes.
sounds right on what we have spoken of, what we would recommend. And if we were taking you at your word,
Hmm.
we would say keep on going,
Hmm.
but you cannot trick us like that. And
Okay.
so much of what you're describing,
Yeah.
you are at some level doing to avoid
Feeling the
feeling the
fear.
sadness.
Yes, I am. I am. Uh-huh. Yep. I do
So
not
you
like
think that if you sort of
yeah,
think
right.
in that direction, then you'll avoid all of the negative energy, which is going to screw everything up for everyone,
Right.
and not just yourself. It'll have a negative effect on everyone around you. So you have to avoid that
That's a really good point.
by staying afloat. By and and that's not where the shifts come from. That's not how the
Yeah.
real shifts come.
No,
The real
you're making
shifts
yeah.
come from allowing yourself to feel
Mm-hmm.
what you're feeling,
Mm-hmm.
to recognize it, to feel it fully. And
Mm-hmm.
then from that state, that's when the new inspiration comes. It
Mm-hmm.
does you no good, it does no one any good to try to tell yourself that you feel a different way than you're feeling,
Yeah.
or that
Yeah.
you should feel a different way, or that really you don't believe in the things that would make you sad, but really you know and you believe something else. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
we hear the words,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
we are, and the universe is not judge
Mm-hmm.
and jury. It's not weighing your
No.
best argument.
No.
It's not weighing what should be.
No, I mean you're right on. It is a scary thing to me, um and I have had a lot of anxiety about it. And so I've been trying to manage, in quotes, my anxiety. And um, and you're right, because I do feel like if I feel sad and my heart, aches, then everybody else's is gonna, and I can't handle that. So um, because I have some kind of belief that I can't handle it. But in actuality, I think it I think that when I have felt sadness about somebody passing or someone I love going, and I really touched into it, there's been a lot of support there. There's been a lot of love. So um yeah, yeah, thank you, Joseph. You
Indeed,
did the
there's
platform.
there's still a lingering belief here in grief or
Yeah,
grieving as a
yeah.
weakness,
Yes,
as a shortcoming.
as a shortcoming. As a shortcoming. Yeah, because it feels a little bit out of control. It feels a little bit vulnerable.
And
Yeah,
that's what you have to step into. And we don't mean step into in the sense that you're dragging yourself down. We mean step into in the sense that you're really coming into the awareness of what you have going on
yeah,
energetically.
of what I have going on energetically. Yeah. No, I appreciate it. Um hmm, yeah, I have been avoiding it. I have been avoiding it. Yeah. And I avoid it in others as well. Like I've tried to avoid it in my mother, keep cheering her up and she's sad. And she even tells me, she says, I'm sad. And I'm like, come on, in a way. And because that means that I have to also face my own sadness. So,
But you don't have to wait until those moments to recognize that. You can do it right here, right now. You can do it in a moment. In other words, you don't make it based on anyone else. No
yeah,
one has to change. Nothing has to change
okay,
for that recognition, for that shift to occur.
okay.
So now that you have that awareness, you have that clarity, it's the same process as everything else. You set the intention. You say, I want to release this. I want to let this energy move through me. I want to really feel what I'm feeling and allow that to shift and change.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you find a nice quiet place under a tree or
Mm-hmm.
wherever, and you just sit and you breathe and you let the emotion come up,
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe
Mm-hmm.
it's a little overwhelming, and you let yourself be overwhelmed by it,
Mm-hmm.
and you let yourself feel it fully.
Yeah.
And in that process, that's when the fundamental shift will occur.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's when you start to relate to everything differently, because you're almost trying to do the same thing with her a little bit, yes?
Yeah.
Call her, call her, call her, call her. Don't be sad, feel this way. Don't focus on that, focus on this. But
Mm-hmm.
what is a very, very subtle difference there, and we don't blame you, everyone does it,
Mm-hmm.
is that you're including both things in the conversation. You're including both of those energies
Yeah.
in that conversation.
So, okay, I hear you. And just as you were saying, go for a walk, sit under a tree. That's exactly what I was thinking. That that's what I was kind of my intention was to find a
Find a
place where I
place.
could have that, you know, expression and feel safe. And so I think that would actually be a good thing for me to, I'm not judging it, but I would like to do that. So I'm saying, but there's this thing that happened where her boyfriend died last night. And, and I feel like I should tell her, but I'm also afraid that it's going to make her like so sad and spiral out that she'll backslide, lose ground. And I know that's not my thing to manage, but yet I feel it's a lot of responsibility. I don't know what to do. I really don't know what to do.
Well, of course, in that moment, it is not to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to tell her, and I do want to tell her. I mean, I have this opportunity to tell her on Friday when I can see her face to face, and I guess I'm going to tell her. And I guess that I'm also afraid of, the emotion that, because it's.
Well, she has been holding on to him very tightly.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so, as always, it's not the words, but it's the energy. So
Yeah.
you go into that same process, that same meditation with that intention.
Mm,
You say, I'd like that guidance from source, from inner being.
yeah.
How do I phrase this? Do I phrase it? What do I do? Then you let it go. And you breathe, and you breathe, and you breathe, and you relax, and thoughts will start to come up, and you release them and continue. And then you'll start to have little impulses, little
Mm,
revelations.
mm, yeah. Yeah.
And then when you go into conversation with her,
The energy will have been pre-paved in a way.
and you'll recognize it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There'll be a tap on the shoulder, a little nudge. You'll know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So I've also been thinking, when we leave this physical body and we enter this consciousness of source back wholly, fully again, how do we how do we reach back and communicate with our loved ones or others? Like, is that also through intention? Is that also through just the power of the love that's within us? Like, is there a comfort or something from people, the energy of people in source for us to feel? Kind of a silly question, but I feel like there's still a connection, and I'm trying to understand what that connection is when people have left their physical body.
It is that love.
It is the love. Okay. It is the love. Yeah. Okay. Hmm. Yeah. And that's kind of what we hold. Usually when people pass, that's the feeling that we have, is that sense of love, that what they've meant to us in our lives. So, okay, that makes sense. Okay. Well, thank you, Joseph. I really do like um, the fact that you've helped me to see and feel these, where I kind of am emotionally with this, because I was denying, but I was trying to think my way out of it.
Well, you would have felt it eventually. It would have
Yeah.
gotten so big that it would have overwhelmed you, that it would
Yeah.
have overtaken your state of being, your beliefs,
Yeah.
poured into, sort of cracked through that facade. And
Hmm.
so it would have happened eventually. You just are now tuning into yourself
Yeah.
and not to judge those emotions.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. This is part of also, loving me and taking care of me, that I've actually been asking about. I've been feeling a little bit of imbalance and wondering why, where is the imbalance coming from? But this is where it's coming from. I haven't been paying attention to this. So I totally get that now. Yeah. Thank you.
Very much so.
Ooh, it's a great session. But I think I'm done. I don't have any more questions.
Indeed. So as you get in touch with the self, deeper and deeper, feeling those sort of ancestral energies moving, shifting,
Mm,
you'll have your own revelation as to how this process really works.
mm.
And it'll be of benefit to everyone that surrounds you.
Oh, that sounds great. Thank you.
Very much so. We are complete.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hey, Aaron.
Hi.
Ooh, that was really that was good. That was deep. That was
Good.
very, very profound.
Good, good.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. I think I want to start doing radio again. I felt like this is fun.
It was fun. It was fun. And you know what I did over on my side, which I really kind of enjoyed? Like, I could close my eyes a little bit
Uh-huh.
and just kind of sink into the energy rather than just coming from the talking and the visual. It was nice because there was sort of this inner connection that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
Hmm.
makes me want to do radio. Maybe I'll do that this week. Thank you for the
Okay.
inspiration.
I'll take care. Thank you, and Joseph.
Thank you too. I'll talk to you soon. Oh, you still there?